This is Mac OS Ken.
SCOTUS drops its epic hold, a couple of security stories, and there is plenty of life left in Ted Lasso. It is Friday, the 14th of August, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. What a difference a day makes. Or not. On Wednesday, the U.S. Supreme Court put a 24-hour hold on proceedings in the Epic case. Man, is there any way we can do this quickly? Let's try. A court in California issued a contempt ruling against Apple forever ago. Apple appealed that contempt ruling up to the U.S. Supreme Court, an appeal that will be heard in the next SCOTUS session. The contempt ruling was tied to the way Apple handled commissions charged for link outs from the App Store to outside sellers. Apple was ordered by the California court to submit new numbers for those link out commissions. Apple asked the Supremes to put that submission on hold, pending its contempt appeal. On Wednesday, the Supremes put a 24-hour hold on proceedings while considering Apple's request. That brings us to Thursday, when Apple Insider says the Supreme Court said, never mind. Apple filed its appeal on Wednesday, just hours before the new link-out numbers were due to the California court. With SCOTUS releasing its hold, those numbers were once again due, and they've been submitted. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says the commissions Apple suggested include 15% for standard apps, down from the 30% charged in the App Store, 10% for the Video Partner Program, the News Partner Program, the Mini Apps Partner Program, and subscription renewals, and 5% for apps in the Small Business Program. Now, what caused the California court to find Apple in contempt way back when was Apple's original link-out commission of 27%. That is practically the same as the 30% commission off of which the court was trying to move Apple, especially when you consider the other businesses developers would need to employ working outside Apple's system. Will the new proposals make the judge in the case happy? Time will tell. You don't have to wait to find out whether Epic Games is pleased, though. The firm that started the whole thing, not happy. Back to Apple Insider we go, where we find Epic hitting the Heil site. There the developer indicates that the only commission that sounds fair to it is no commission. 0%. The big bupkis. We're likely nowhere near the end on this. Apple Insider says the Cupertino company has filed an administration motion for referral to settlement conference. Apple indicates that such talks might help both sides either settle or narrow remaining issues. Last we heard, Epic now gets 60 days to respond. I guess Twitter doesn't count. That'll be followed by another 30 days for Apple to respond to that response. Remember my question last week to Creative Strategy CEO and Principal Analyst Ben Baharan about whether a rise in smartphone prices would juice sales in the pre-owned smartphone market? Then me re-upping that question on news that Apple had increased max trade-in values on most of the hardware it sells? Check this out. Market tracker Omdia posted a post last week under the headline, "Weak smartphone demand drives record growth in display shipments to refurbished phone market." According to the post, rising memory prices have prompted smartphone manufacturers to significantly reduce production plans, with Omdia forecasting demand for displays used in new smartphones will decline by 12% this year. At the same time, display panel shipments into the refurbished smartphone market continue to accelerate. How big is the shift? By Omdia's count, shipments to the refurbished market outpaced shipments for new phones in the first quarter of this year. Q1 saw OEMs receiving 289 million displays, with 298 going into the refurbished smartphone market, an increase of 20% year on year. While one might assume that the shift means more people are buying refurbished phones, Omdia doesn't say so. Rather, the firm indicates that display makers just needed some place to place their wares. Quoting the Post again, panel manufacturing requires significant long-term investment, making it difficult for suppliers to quickly reduce production capacity when demand falls. Instead, panel makers are increasingly supplying displays into the refurbishment market to maintain factory utilization, absorb fixed costs, and reduce operational pressure. Yeah, okay, but something has to be happening to those displays, right? Bears watching. Apple's looking to buy current events knowledge for Siri. The Wall Street Journal says the Cupertino company is discussing new deals with publishers to use their content to deliver current news and information to and through Apple's upcoming Siri AI. Of course, Apple being Apple, they have an Apple idea in terms of payment. While deals between large AI companies and individual news organizations tend to include guaranteed fees, Apple would rather do a variable compensation thing with payments made to partner publishers when their content is used. That is all according to secret people who apparently can't keep a secret. Apple declined to comment for the Journal report. Security stories from this week and last. We'll start with the most recent. If Apple sends you a push notification alerting you to a spyware attack, TechCrunch says you should take it seriously. The Cupertino company on Thursday sent notifications to recipients in 110 countries, warning them that they were the apparent targets of serious spyware. While Apple has sent such notifications in the past, there is something new to this round: a push notification landing on the lock screen. The message warns recipients that Apple detected a mercenary spyware attack targeted at their iPhone. It also alerts them to actions they can take immediately to protect their device and their data. Apple also sends notifications by email and to users when they log into their account, according to the report. As for last week's security story, looks like one Apple privacy feature isn't great at the whole privacy part. According to another piece from TechCrunch, Apple's Private Relay, an opt-in feature designed to hide a user's IP address when they browse the internet with Safari, can be circumvented to reveal the supposedly hidden IP address due to a series of flaws. The researchers who found the flaw, collectively referred to as MOSK, went public with the issue right away. In a post on the Heil site, MOSK said they chose not to report the issue to Apple because their past experience with Apple tells them that reporting the issue would involve months of delays, inconsistent communication, and in some cases, denying the issue's impact entirely. Almost as if to prove that point, Apple did not respond to a TechCrunch request for comment. Well, this sounds like a job for... I know, you're probably thinking security people, right? Oh, sorry. The answer we were looking for is lawyers. Lawyers. A piece this week from 9to5Mac says the same law firm that got a $250 million settlement off of Apple for the Siri AI delay is back. This time they're bringing a class action suit accusing Apple of false advertising, misrepresentation, and fraud around Private Relay. According to the suit, Apple knew, or should have known, that the challenged representations were false, misleading, deceptive, and unlawful at the time that defendant manufactured, marketed, advertised, labeled, and sold the iCloud Plus subscriptions. 9to5Mac has one of the litigants saying Apple built its entire brand on the promise that it would protect its users' privacy when no other company would. For Apple's iCloud users to now learn that for years they were paying Apple a premium for a protection that simply didn't work, exposing them to the very tracking, profiling, and targeting Apple warned them about, is an outrageous violation and betrayal of consumer trust and law. You will be surprised to learn Apple didn't respond to a 9to5 Mac request for comment. Apple's welcoming one exec while saying so long to another. A piece from Apple Insider says Nate Gatten is making his way to Cupertino. He is set to be the company's new VP of Government Affairs. The piece says Gatten comes from American Airlines, where he held the same role for almost a decade. Previously, he led the global government relations and policy teams at JP Morgan Chase. Over on the goodbye side, a piece from Bloomberg says Jennifer Bailey, the longtime head of pay and wallet services, is retiring after more than 2 decades at Apple. Bailey has been VP of Apple Pay since its launch in 2014. If there's a succession plan, Apple is not making it public. In an email to staff seen by Bloomberg, Apple's Senior VP of Services and Health, Eddie, the all-encompassing Q, said, "Before Jennifer's transition at the end of October, we will announce our succession plan, and Jennifer will continue to be available to support the transition in an advisory role." Pour one out for one of Apple's first premier phones. 9to5 Mac says iPhone X, launched in 2017 for the then eye-watering price of $999, has landed on Apple's list of obsolete products. It added Face ID, it dropped the home button, had an OLED screen that ran practically edge to edge. It is now a paperweight as far as Apple is concerned. The piece reminds readers, once a device is added to Apple's obsolete products list, the company discontinues all hardware service for it, and service providers can no longer order parts for it. Also landing on that list this week, the 15-inch 2018 MacBook Pro. So I guess pour one out for that as well. We'll wrap the day with a bit of Apple TV talk. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release this week teasing the thriller series Last Seen and dropping a trailer for it. Describing the show, the release says police detective Ian Ridley's life fell apart 11 years ago when his young daughter disappeared without a trace. Now working as a police dispatcher, the only thing that has kept him going is his implacable refusal to accept that she might be gone forever. When he receives a distress call from a teenage girl he is certain is his daughter, he will stop at nothing to find her and reunite his broken family. The first 2 episodes of The Last Scene hit Apple TV on Wednesday, the 9th of September. Where's the trailer? Why, it's on YouTube. Please consume responsibly. Speaking of trailers, Apple TV has posted a Season 5 trailer for the children's mindfulness show Stillwater. That's the one about the bear that teaches kids to be in the moment instead of eating them. Unless he's playing the long game. Anyway, that trailer is also up on YouTube. Season 5 of Stillwater hits Apple TV 1 week from today, Friday, the 21st of August. Something old is new on Apple TV. Mac Rumors says the Cupertino streamer has added a slew of classic movies that subscribers can now stream at no additional cost. It might stretch the term to call some of them classics. It is a respectable list, though. Among the movies available in the States are Arrival, The Aviator, A Beautiful Mind, E.T., Looper, The Martian, Titanic, and a whole bunch of others. There are said to be 19 movies for U.S. subscribers, with fewer in other countries. If any sound appealing, you might want to hop to it. Mac Rumors points out that Apple added 51 films under a Great Movies on Apple TV label in March of 2024, then followed up with roughly 30 more titles the next month. All of those went away within a few weeks, according to the piece. And finally today, it looks like Ted Lasso is delivering again for Apple TV. It did the first week anyway. The piece from Deadline says last week's Season 4 premiere for the feel-good comedy gave the Cupertino streamer its biggest launch to date. On the 5th of August alone, says the report, the season debut was the most streamed program in the U.S., with more than 200 million viewing minutes. That's weird. Used to be under an hour. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.